Hello, everyone. We're going to get started here in a moment. If you haven't been to any PD sessions, you can go ahead and I'm going to scroll up here. So if you, see, make sure you go to this bit.ly link. That will open up this slide deck so you can all of the fabulous resources provided by Amy Fosek. Amy's here with us right now. She's going to be moderating this chat for you. So if you have any questions related to virtual field trips or real world connections, please ask those in the chat room. You can private message if you don't want your question out in public. I totally understand. But if you feel it's something great for the group, make sure you ask the entire group. That way they can get answers as well. Okay, so if you are on this slide, you'll notice some links. The one at the very bottom, if you're looking for more webinars to watch because you've only watched, say, like 20 in the last week, up your game a bit, like pretend like you're watching The Office episodes over and over, you can go to that PUSD, Digital Teaching Resources site, and we have over 90 webinars on that page. Okay, so you'll never run out of things to watch. So if you'd like to do that, go there. Please provide up to 48 hours to have this video link on the Canva flyer that was passed out to you. Kind of doing it faster now, but we still say, if you want to watch this webinar, if you want to see everything that went on because you can't remember, make sure that you come here, go to the Canva link and look for that video link. Place the Zoom link that exists there right now. Okay, so Amy, anything to add?
Nope, I think you covered it.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so this is the real world connections and virtual field trips training. Okay, I'm going to be handling the real world connections part, and Amy's going to be handling the virtual field trips part. So we're actually going to hand off midway through this presentation, and I will be moving to the chat room to answer questions. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is give an overview of why it's important to have real world connections in virtual field trips in our virtual learning environment. We're going to go over a few tools. We're not going to try to overwhelm you with too many, and some of them you've probably already heard of. And then Amy's going to talk about virtual field trips, some of the stuff that's out there and available, ready to be used now. And we'll talk about some, at the end, you'll have some time to work on a tool that you want. You'll also have time to ask us questions in the chat room. All right, so why are these types of connections important? So, I mean, as all of you know, your kids are not going to be showing up in class this year on time. Some of these students have been inside of their house most days for months now. And I mean, if you think that's hard as an adult, you can only imagine what it must be like as a kid who, doesn't get to see their friends regularly anymore. And so what we're trying to do is get you to the resources you need to provide those opportunities for students. So when we talk about real world connections, we're really trying to get you to open up what you're doing in your classroom and maybe finding other students around the world, or not just students, maybe even some adults who can help in certain areas, like show your kids things, older students, things like that. So it's really a way to get your students understanding that the real world still does exist, that you see it out your window, so that when they do eventually come back to in class, you have that classroom community built so that it's not awkward in January when they're all showing up in your classroom for the first time. Okay, so what is real world connection? Like I said, it's everything that you're doing in your class right now. Okay, it's not like you have to provide new things, but you're introducing some elements that maybe you haven't done in the past. So if you can get a speaker, like I said, it could be a book author, it could be a forest ranger, it could be a marine biologist, it could be a parent that specializes in something, or it could be, like I said, an older student. So anytime you can connect students with things that are going on outside of your classroom, that's a real world connection. Okay, so these are the tools we're going to be talking about today. The first one is Flipgrid. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't, welcome. Welcome to the internet. So Flipgrid is a video response tool. It's great because it allows you to really connect with your students in ways that really just weren't possible before. What I like most about it is it really builds in that classroom community because you can create any number of topics on Flipgrid and discuss any number of things, okay? There's really no limitations. If you went to the Flipgrid training last week, you saw all the different ideas we shared with you on how you can use Flipgrid, but it works really great as a connection tool. Okay, so Flipgrid is free. It's always going to be free. It's owned by Microsoft. And what makes it great is you can create as many topics as you want, and you can put guest speakers on those topics, okay? So if you know that there's a specialist or someone that you want as part of just one topic, not your entire class, they can't see anything else, you can add them to that, and that guest speaker can make a video that students watch on their own. They can actually, once the students see the video, the students can respond, and that guest speaker can actually go back on and respond to students as well. So it's really great tool for that one use, but like I said, it's used for a lot of different things. What's also great is Microsoft owns Skype in the Classroom as well. So a lot of this integration takes place automatically, especially if you start from Skype in the Classroom. A lot of times you'll see some sessions, whether they're synchronous or asynchronous, and they'll have resources built in that you can use with Flipgrid. We're gonna show you that tool as well. Pen Pal Schools is a great site if you're looking to sync up with maybe another classroom so that you can have, like, say, a partner classroom during these unusual times. It makes it great so that, you know, maybe you can have weekly sessions where you meet up with your partner classroom and kind of learn things from each other. The App Smash we're going to talk about at the end. That's where we use Flipgrid and Skype in the Classroom together. I guess it's not really an App Smash since they kind of do it for you. You're not having to do much on your own, but that's what's so great about it, is that you can do it quickly and easily. And before we move on, I'm going to actually click this link here. I'm going to show you on Flipgrid what you can do right now. So once you get to Flipgrid, you can actually go to Educator Login. It's a sign in through Google tool, so it just syncs up automatically. And what you're looking for is along the top, it says Discovery. And this is where the collections are. So if you're familiar with any EdTech tool like Nearpod or Edpuzzle, they all have these stores where people have created thousands and thousands of resources. So for example, the amount of topics created in Flipgrid is over 26,000. And think of a topic as any one thing you're looking to do in Flipgrid, okay? So if you're ever in here, you can actually enter in whatever you want. And I'm going to enter in virtual field trips just to see what they have. And these could be teacher created. They could be done by Skype Classroom. You can see that right here. It will talk about who the creator is. Microsoft has a bunch for that. So this is just an opportunity where you could basically add this topic. And in most cases, it's either going to have a video, maybe a 360 or virtual reality video. There could be a live webcam of a certain place. And you'll see on this one, they're taking a virtual field trip, and it's a bunch of different videos of things that go on at that aquarium, okay? So like I said, it's like a virtual field trip, and then you can decide what you want them to say on their videos once they've seen everything, okay? So that's Flipgrid if you're looking. Now, if you want to be more specific, you have to type Skype Classroom. And when you do that, let's see. There you go. You'll see where the creator is Skype Classroom. I can click on that and look at their topics. And it looks like there's 39 different virtual field trips or real world connections that are just on Flipgrid by itself. You can always create your own and add more. These are just ones that maybe other teachers have done or Microsoft did when they put them together. Okay, so that's on Flipgrid. So again, when you're in Flipgrid, going to Discovery helps a lot, gives you a lot of access to things that have already been created which can make it a lot easier than creating some of your things on your own, especially with everything else you have going on right now. And Skype in the Classroom. If you haven't heard of Skype in the Classroom, it's been around, I think over 10 years. I mean, at least over 10 years. I mean, I remember going on back in the 2000s, and it was here. But back then, it was really mostly the virtual field trips. This is where you could speak with experts around the world, really, and in a number of different subjects. Well, I'll clarify that though. Like mainly, it's social studies, science, and ELA. We did look for math. There's only a couple, so if you're a math teacher, I'd apologize ahead of time. But that doesn't mean you can't use it. There's the Mystery Skype project, which is another tool that allows you to partner up with a class. And the main game they play, the reason it's called Mystery Skype is that they have to try to figure out where one of the classrooms is from. So both classrooms are trying to figure out first, before the other one, where their location is exactly. Okay, so it's basically students working together as a team in order to find out where the other classroom is from before they find out where they're from, if that makes sense. But it has turned into where you can actually play a lot of different games. So if you're on this page, Skype in the Classroom, you'll go to learn more, and that will kind of give you some more information. They also have new things like collaborative projects, themed collections around a lot of different subject matters, guest speaker sessions, and these ones are great too. So a bit different than, say, the virtual field trip. They do a lot of stuff, I believe, with book authors. So yeah, you can actually go in here and look through some of these sessions, and you can actually request a session with them. Okay, and there's going to be a bunch. So if this is too overwhelming, I always tell people to go up here on the left and make sure you are using the search filter. Okay, so you can pick age range, what days you're available for it, languages, country, region, any of that information, so that you can start looking to see if you want to request a certain session. And lastly on here, they do have some special events. If an event has been done before, they call those on-demand sessions. You can actually go to these and do them anytime. Okay, so if you want to do an event where you get to know Dr. Jane Goodall, it will have her video. There's also some activities that you can do with your students afterwards. Meet the authors, you know, things like that, so the kids can learn who the Fonz was. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. These are all on demand, which means they're not live. You're basically just going in and you want to do this virtual field trip of sorts, and do it like whenever you feel like it. Now, if you would like to be on sessions where things are coming up and the students are actually on a live session, you can click view more on this page, and it will show you upcoming events. Okay. So usually it's just a month in advance, but you can see all the sessions they're doing in September. Okay. So, if you want to do the Minecraft one, from what I understand, kids love it. So, all right.
Jason, do you mind going over and just quickly and reviewing some of the similarities and differences between Flipgrid and Skype when you're using it for the real world connection piece?
Yeah, so Skype in the Classroom is just connecting you to people outside of your classroom. So if you were in your classroom and you were doing Skype in the Classroom, you would put it up on your projector. And if you had a webcam, that person could see your class with all your kids in it. But for this purpose, you would run Skype in the classroom on your desktop or laptop or whatever device you're using, and you would screen share that to students. So if it's an on-demand event, obviously they're just watching a video, but if it's a live event, then the students would be able to see that as it was happening. The difference is Flipgrid adds in the element, and this is why we like to app smash the two, where you do the Skype in the Classroom session and students go into Flipgrid and they do a video response. Okay, so you might have watched a session with Dr. Jane Goodall, and after she's done speaking, you'll have your students go on and maybe, ask them some questions about what they learned or what they're thinking about. And they can then watch each other's videos and respond to each other's videos as well. Okay, so that, so yeah, that's what really Flipgrid is. It's a video response tool. So it works for a lot of things like reflection, whereas Skype in the Classroom is just connecting virtual field trips to classrooms. Okay. All right, and so like we talked about, if you haven't heard of Flipgrid, it's basically a video response tool. You can add co-teachers. So if you have partner teachers, you can add them. So you can add guest speakers. There's a lot of different things you can do in Flipgrid. I really recommend you go try out that professional development we did last week with it if you'd like to learn more. But basically, in concert with Skype in the Classroom, it allows you to really make that connection for those students. Like that's the way they can see each other. And on Zoom, they can sometimes see each other. Some kids have their videos turned off. So it just gives them an opportunity to see like all their faces. It allows the students to put a selfie on their video so that, they get kind of used to who's who in their classroom. Not just seeing a name, but seeing a face that goes along with it, hearing a voice that goes along with it as well. So it's really great, great way in a virtual environment to connect your classroom. Skype, like we talked about, if you are on the presentation, I've included a getting started guide so you can look at how you could start up getting real world connection in your classroom. And the last one is Pen Pal Schools. You just enter Pen Pal Schools. It's linked on this document. I'm not going to go too much into it right here, but really it just allows you to sync up with other classrooms around the world, solving problems. I would say it's like project based. So it's not like just providing the classroom. They do have subject matter on there that tries to help kids solve social justice issues or issues related to climate change, poverty around the world. So it really is like a place where they share ideas with others outside of their classroom, and maybe students a lot more diverse than them. So it gives them that experience as well. Amy, are you still in here?
Yep.
Okay. Someone just asked for the bit.ly link.
Yeah, I'm putting it in there right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so like we said, app smashing, Flipgrid, and Skype. So many cool ways to do that. So like I said, especially with the on-demand virtual field trips, you can grab those videos, put them inside your Flipgrid topic, and then ask students questions and get them to watch the video and then answer those questions themselves and then respond to each other. So that's how you can smash those two tools together. It works really well. All right. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Amy, if I can work my mouse correctly. So I'm going to unshare my screen. Oh.
There we go. Somebody in the chat just asked about the age recommendation for Pen Pal Schools. It's recommended about ages 8 and up. Yeah. So when you're looking at that, just know that's the age range that it's geared towards.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that, if you have younger students than 8 years old, yeah, that's probably not the site, just because the topics they're discussing are really for kids that are a bit older, so it really works for 3rd, 4th grade and up. But Flipgrid also has something called, I think it's Flip Pals or something, where you can actually connect with classrooms on Flipgrid. And kind of the same thing, but maybe you have more control over what it is that you would like to connect about. So yeah, so there's a lot of different ways for kids to connect with students outside of their classroom.
All right, so we're gonna dive a little deeper into some other resources for virtual field trips. So again, one of the benefits is it lets students visit places that they may never have had the chance to, or might not ever have the chance to. So a great way of connecting and seeing different places all around the world. So the first site we're going to focus on is called Ports on Demand, and this is put on by the California State Parks, and they offer a variety of live and interactive opportunities for K-12 students. So if you go to the Ports website, you can see that on the teacher page, there are 2 different ways to access the Ports content. So the first one is called Ports Home Learning Program. Now within the Ports Home Learning Program, you can go down to the calendar. This year's calendar has not yet been released yet. It will be released on September 15th. When they do release it, on the left-hand side, you can see on my screen, this is where all of their events will be posted. You can sign up with a link that will give you a Zoom link to participate. And it is individuals who work at the national parks, and they will take you on a live virtual field trip of the park. So it could be of monuments, it could be of places, really depends on what they are offering. But it would be your class with a few other classes live with a individual that works for the national park. The other option they have is called Ports on Demand. So these are kind of the pre-recorded sessions and interactive experiences that they've done in the past, recorded, that you can share with your students. And that's in the Ports on Demand program. Now, when you go into the digital content library on the Ports website, it will not only give you access to that pre-recorded material, but it will take you to other areas on their site. So such as the Ports YouTube channel, where you can get access to videos that they've curated, as well as 360 virtual tours of different places. So again, letting your students experience different national parks through this 360 virtual tour. So Ports is one site that you can go to. On the next page in our slide deck, we've linked a whole bunch of other resources on there. Now, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. If there is a place that you are studying, if you just Google, 360-degree tour or virtual field trip and then put in the name, a lot of the times these have already been created either by someone else or by the organization themselves. So you can see we added some different art museums in here. So like the Louvre, the Van Gogh Museum, the Dali Museum, all of those have virtual field trips that your students can go to. There's live animal cams, from zoos all across the United States and actually the world for that matter. Yellowstone also has a site that's dedicated to different virtual field trips that go all across Yellowstone. So if you were studying Yellowstone, let's say as a class, you could have some students go to Fort Yellowstone, go see the mud volcano, the hot springs. Again, really bringing those connections from outside in and making those experiences live for your students and allowing them to connect better with that content. The next slide, we really were just showing you how you could do this if you were doing a topic of study and provide student choice within the virtual field trip setting. So if I was studying space with my class, I could maybe give them 4 different virtual field trips that they could choose to go on. So I could say, okay, you can go explore the Mars rover, you can explore the moon, or go aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery. And then I'm going to have you do a proof of learning to teach your classmates and share about your experience. So really you can utilize these virtual field trips, not only in a whole class model, but in either a personalized or small group way as well. So again, the ones we went over and shared with you are really just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other ones out there for you to really explore. If questions come up after we are finished with this webinar, we put our our email address on the last slide. So email us please at edtech@powayusd.com and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So Jason and I will stay on for the remainder of the webinar and just give you time to explore the resources we went over. And if you have any questions that come up, feel free to put them in the chat and we will answer those for you. So again, thank you for joining us on the webinar. We'll stay in the chat. We appreciate all that you're doing. We know that there is a lot on your plate right now. So, thank you for taking the time to join us.